What's up? Are you struggling with meaning? Are you maybe having an existential crisis? Are you unsure what truth is or what is true? Well, today you're in luck. We're going to talk about how to live when you don't know what to believe. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Danny here, buddy. Randy, what's up, Randy?
Yo, Danny.
I like this one. I think this is a good one because I think
Yeah.
people struggle with belief all the time, and especially in this world where everything is like both trying to get you to agree to a position, but it's also everything's kind of presented to us as like all or nothing. Like you're either
hmm
Republican or Democrat. You're either for this or for that. This BS that doesn't mean
Yeah,
anything. And
true.
I think it makes it hard to know like what's true
Yeah,
and
and
what
it's
means anything.
exacerbated because we used to live in very tribal cultures. Like you lived only among your type of people. So it was very obvious what to believe. You believe the same thing as everybody else. But
You went
now
to
we're all about
the local temple
integration.
church.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
integration, melting pot, anti-racism, all this. And because of that, how are you supposed to believe stuff when everybody else believes different stuff?
No, I think that doesn't, it's funny, but I thought about that a lot. It does make it very hard in the modern world, especially in countries like the US and stuff, where you'll have like communities, and it depends on where you live, but you'll have communities with a lot of different people. So you'll have like, New Jersey has like, they have every type of religious thing you could ever possibly want. Like, and sometimes right next to each other. And it makes it hard because you don't have that like tight community, like you said. You have a lot of different ideas being presented to you all the time. And then with the internet and everything with connectivity, it's like we see the rest of the world all the time, or we can. So you're kind of opened up to just ideas, but there's no way to kind of navigate them and know which ones are better or worse, or even what's true,
Yeah.
or even if anything is true.
Yeah. Like I remember, I mean, we grew up close to some areas where there were a lot of Jewish people, and it seemed normal to be around a lot of Jewish people. But
Yeah.
there's 1 or 2% of the population of the world, maybe. And
You know
I've
what's
been
funny? That always when I first realized that, I was like, no way, because I always
they're
thought
everywhere. They're everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
there were so many more.
Because we just
Yeah.
lived in we lived in this area where there was a high density of them. And then I went down to Trinidad and Tobago one time, this island, and they had never met a Jewish person in their life, never heard of them. They were like, those are those people in the Bible, right? And I was like, but they're real people too.
In that old Bible too, not even the new one.
I know, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of weird though, and I think that is kind of crazy, like when you think about it, that we have all this access, but it also causes, I think, problems for, you know, just what to believe, what's right. And then on top of that, I think it's also hard because even things that we think we know, like I want to be happy or successful and stuff, we still don't even know how to define those terms well. I
hmm
think we actually, I personally don't think we know anything. I think, it's like really it's all about interpretation. It's
Yeah.
not really, there isn't a truth. There's just ways of interpreting things and
Just
perspectives.
like Socrates said, all I know is that I know nothing. I think that was
Yeah,
him at least.
yeah,
Well, because it
yeah, it
makes
was
sense because
him.
like you're like, but clearly you can just follow the Ten Commandments, like thou shalt not kill. But it's like, well, what about if somebody else is trying to kill your family? Can you kill them?
Eh.
No. Is it a gray area? I don't know what to believe.
Well, this is the problem, right? And then it's also, it's funny. They actually, I think it was it Aquinas, but I know some Christian theologians, if I remember correctly, they went through some difficulties trying to justify like when it's appropriate to kill because clearly like it's gonna there are cases like war, self-defense, things like that where like it seems silly to not defend yourself,
Yeah.
or at least be justified. But yeah, morality is another one where it's like it's impossibly hard to know what to believe, right? Because there's a million different beliefs and views. But I think what people forget with morality too is that it's not so much that it's like this is right, this is wrong. It's the why that matters. Like, why is it wrong to kill? Why is it wrong to do this? And that gives you a lot more information if you have your own reasons for doing it, right? But I think most people just focus on the rule, like you can't steal. And it's like, well, why not? And if you can answer that, then you're much further along.
Yeah, I was just laughing because I was listening to some Louis C.K. comedy bit about he was talking about how when people murder someone, they don't care about anything other than how are you feeling when you did it. You know, like did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Did you have some remorse? He's like, it would make a lot more sense if it depended upon their age. Like if it's a young kid, you go away for a long time. But if it's some geriatric, then you know what? You can
Yeah,
leave tomorrow.
it is so weird. And then, well, it's also like we don't, I don't know. It's a very odd. it's very odd how we handle truth too, because I think a lot of like the internet has not helped because people just like yell
Yeah.
and
And I
it's
don't
funny
even think
too.
people yell. I just think that like it's the internet amplifies things. Because
Yeah.
people, I mean, most of the time, this is the way that I think about it. Most of the time, this is what comes out of someone's brain when they're on the toilet. Because that's when
Yeah.
most people are like doing, like, I work at a co-working office, and most of the offices, people aren't allowed to use their phone while they're working. So
Yeah.
as soon as they go to the toilet, they bring their phone and they're just typing
That
away on the toilet the whole time. And so basically, all these things are just like mega amplified thoughts that people have while they're on the toilet.
Well, and
And
like we've talked about before, then the algorithm's also geared towards extremes because they want to get your emotions up and stuff. So it's like, it's funny too, because I mentioned it before, but I remember reading there was this study that was done that showed like most people too, when they go online, you have access to basically all information, but 90, I think it's like 98% of people only seek out things that affirm the beliefs that they already hold.
yeah.
So you only get sort of things that are confirming what you think you know rather than challenging or
I
questioning.
don't want to blame
And
Google, but most people don't go beyond like the top few results, even on the first
yeah,
page. Like there's
and that's
at
gotten
least
more and more, because remember when it first came out, Google, like, you'd get weird results because the algorithm wasn't so
or some of
tailored
the
and
other
tight.
search engines where you just have to
Yeah,
keep on looking. But nowadays people like
Ask Jeeves.
I don't even search anymore. I just ask ChatGPT,
Yeah,
and it's getting harder and harder to tell when it's wrong.
it is. But I think that's the problem, right? Because I think we forget that like our whole world is contrived. We create meaning. That's what human beings do, right? We want to understand the world, so we make it meaningful. We give ourselves reasons, justifications, logic. We explain things, and we create sort of a world around us of good and bad and plus and minuses. And it can change over time, or it can stay stagnant. But I think if we realize that, like all of this stuff is plastic, it can be changed at any time. None of it's really hard and fact. Like there's facts, right? Like, a table's read, or there's a math and stuff like that, but it still can be interpreted. And I think that's where the problems lies in that interpretive sort of level.
Yeah. So then what do you believe when you don't know what to believe?
That is the tough one. I don't know. How do you live when you don't know what to believe? Or you
Yeah,
don't know what's
day to
true?
day. That's
Yeah,
that's pretty
right.
much yeah, day to day, and that happens more often than not. I do find that life seems a lot more troublesome when I'm trying to solve all of my problems at once today.
At the same time,
Instead of
yeah,
just being
yeah.
like, you know what, I really only got to stay awake for another 10 hours and then I can go to sleep and it'll be a new day. And
Well, that's
yeah,
perspective, right? Like realizing that, like, hey, guess what? I can't solve all these today. So let's pick the ones I can and start working down that list, sort of. That can be very helpful too. Yeah. No, I get the same way. When you get in that like tailspin of like problems, trying to figure out all of them, it's like you can't. And most things that are problems are going to take time to solve too. They're not going to be resolved by, this day, or doing something today is not going to fix it.
yeah,
It might get you started, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's just crazy how like these things can affect us so much. Because
Why don't, yeah. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, the perspective of things, like when things when you're stuck, when problems just seem to be compounding on top of each other, it's like the outlook for life just looks so poor. But then the other
Right.
day, like I noticed it when it was happening, I had like two or three things that just like lined up to complete at the same time. There was like one day where I had like three completions and it was like awesome. And
And you feel
I
great.
was on cloud nine. I
Yeah.
was like, my life is going to be awesome forever. I finally figured it out. And I'm looking at myself that day and I'm just like, yeah, this is just, I had a whole bunch of good stuff happen today. Let's just enjoy it while it's going because
But that's the
I
funny
know
thing
what
though,
comes
because that happens to
next.
me all the time too, dude. Like I feel like I'm like up in like a roller coaster because you have those good days and it feels like you could do anything. Like
Hmm.
everything's good. You totally can see the future's optimistic, positive, and then the next day can be totally dark again and negative.
Hmm.
And I think this is where I think a lot of people just we aren't taught and we don't spend a lot of time thinking for ourselves about what matters to us or what we want or what's meaningful or important to us. And I think that's a good starting point. If you don't know what to believe, is like starting to do some self-reflection and figuring out, well, what do I want? Because that can be a good place to help you start to figure out, well, what matters to you, and then kind of work from there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? We've been working through the artist's way, and I've been working on getting back into drawing. And so I've been reading this book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. And it talks about how drawing's been kind of take art, I mean, all art, but also just drawing has been taken out of our school education, all of
Yeah.
that stuff. But it's like we were just talking about having a better perspective in life. But in this book, it talks about how like drawing and art actually gives you the ability to have perspective, to do creative thinking. And all, because we don't practice these things, people have lose that ability.
Well, it's sad, right? Because I think I feel bad for kids in school now because we had so many options for outlets for creativity, of just pure creativity in school. We had art, we had music, we had like so many things that you could do.
Bob Ross was on TV.
Yeah,
Like, what
Bob
more do you
Ross was
need?
rocking out with his paintbrushes and stuff. But no, seriously, because I think you're right. Like, if you don't like, we're very creative. I think if people are just like have free time, they will create things. But they need to know that that's okay and how to start doing it. And if you don't ever
Mhm.
learn that when you're a kid, if you don't have time to play and learn, it's very
Yeah.
hard to do as an adult because it feels silly, weird,
Well, also,
whatever.
I think looking for free time isn't because it used to be it wasn't really free time. It was just we were bored. And so we'd be like looking around for stuff to do and be like, well, there's paper and there's some paint. Okay, fine. I guess I'll do something. Nowadays, I think like I know for me, I definitely need to schedule it in order to get it done because otherwise there's a whole bunch of other things that are a lot more attractive that
Oh,
I
yeah.
could spend my time doing.
There's so many things that are so easy to do too. Like we were talking about that with the with technology before, right? It's so easy to just waste time and like it's just distracting yourself, right? But you're not doing anything productive. And like creativity is productive. It is. It's very productive. And it teaches you how to critically think, teaches you how to find things. Like I think and how to look at things from different angles and perspectives, which is really important. But we
Hmm.
don't really do it much anymore. It is kind of interesting. In a way, like our it's funny because like our computers have been very great in a lot of ways, and like phones and stuff. Like we don't have to remember numbers and have carry Rolodexes and stuff. We don't have to like. There's so many things we can just look up. It's nice, but it also each time we do that, it's like we're not using our brain either to solve these things or to even think them through. It's like when people like are trying to figure something out and they immediately go to the online to figure out if it's right or wrong or something instead of trying to work it out themselves. And I think that is a problem we kind of run into. Are we
Yeah.
losing our ability to think critically?
Hmm. Yeah.
Might be.
So the answer to the question, how do we live when we don't know what to believe?
Think you have to start figuring it out, though. That's the
When we
problem.
don't know what. Well, I would I don't think that people are like clueless. I don't think that there's many
No.
people who are just like, I have no idea. But it's something where like Nick Swartzen, is that his name? Yeah, Nick
Yeah.
Swartzen. He
Yeah.
was talking about how like everyone thinks he's gay because on his MySpace profile for like a sexual identity, he put like I have no idea because
Okay.
that was an option. It was like, I don't know, straight, what I don't know. One of the options was like I have no idea. So it's
Yeah,
like
this is a while
I just
ago. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, I just saw a poster and I totally got hard. Like, no, I
No
don't think
clue.
I don't think anybody has no idea what to believe, but it's kind of it could be a I think like people look at it as a bad thing when you question your beliefs. But
Well, that,
actually, yeah,
yeah.
actually it says something very good about you if you're questioning your beliefs. It means that number one, you think that having beliefs is important. Number two, you think having the correct beliefs is important. And it says a whole bunch of other stuff
And
too, I'm
three, you're
sure.
also willing to change when you
Mhm.
realize that your beliefs aren't working for you or are wrong or whatever. I
Mhm.
think, too, another problem, you just made me think of it, too, which is a lot of people, too, when they struggle with this, I don't think it's so much that they don't know, it's that there's also so much outside noise trying to get them to think a certain way. Right? Because, we've all dealt with this, right? Like, I remember like being in school and like, the pressure from your parents and expectations, right? And trying to, do what you want to do, but also what you think like is going to make them happy or whatever, or is going to make them proud or whatever. Like those kind of things influence so much. And it's all the time and everywhere, right? And it's probably worse now than ever because there's so many people that can like, depending on how you live your day, that can have influence over how you think. So I
Mhm.
think that's probably the larger factor is probably it's not so much that people don't know or are totally blank, but it's that they're have difficulty sort of doing what's right for them or thinking for
Oh.
themselves without letting others.
So maybe a
Yeah.
better question is how to have confidence to live with what you do believe.
It's hard though, it is. Because
Hmm.
if you're on the outside, you're kind of alone. And so people want to also be with the group, right? So it's hard to kind of separate yourself and be like, no, I don't think that, or
Hmm.
that's different from what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
or they don't want to argue. I mean, there's so many factors. It's tough being social beings and being human beings.
It's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough. And like, I don't know, the older I get, the more I look back on how my young life shaped me. And it's just like, I don't think we really had much choice about a lot of this stuff at all. It
No,
was just uh, like
happenstance.
action, yeah, happenstance and then
Yeah.
response to it. And now you're just like stuck in this loop that just goes on and on forever.
Dude, I think about that a lot, right? Because it's like you have no choice where you're born, who your family is, where you live, what time period. And really, you don't think for yourself consciously till much later after you're born. So the formative, those first like 10, 12, 15 years, you're just downloading crap from around you and trusting everybody around you to give you information. And so after that, it's like now you're on your own. And I think so. It is funny. I do think as you get older, though, it does get easier to kind of start believing what you want to, what's right for you because you get maybe care less or are less worried about what other people think. I don't know if that happens for everybody, but I think that that does seem to be somewhat true.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still really hard to think for yourself because really all that you know is what you've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, that's really only the environment they grew up in.
And even
And
finding something else can be hard, right? Because you don't even know where to look sometimes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
like I just had this incident today where like I mean, you and I both have had exposure to other languages. And so you can kind of recognize a different like if you see Spanish or French or something like that, you
Yeah.
kind of know what's going on. And there was so like I'm learning ethical hacking and there was some lorem ipsum on a website, like which is basically just Latin jumbo words.
Nonsense.
But
It's nonsense words.
but like
Yeah.
this person is like a world-class hacker, and they're like, oh, but I have no idea what this language is or what this means. And I was like, how do you not know that? You're like an incredible like web hacker, and you don't even know what lorem ipsum is. And so it's just like it's just crazy the different stuff that you get exposed to is basically the reality that you create.
Yeah, it is. And also, we know how willing are you to look outside from what you're familiar with to other things? I think too, like it's important too, especially if you don't know what to believe, is not letting yourself get stuck in beliefs too, and being willing and open to try different things or explore different things or question things. Because I think that is the best thing we can do for ourselves for figuring things out. Because it's never going to be static, right? We're always going to look at the world differently, and it's always going to change as our situation changes, as our emotions change. Like it's insane. Yeah.
Hmm. Sweet. So I think we answered that one, how to live when you don't know
Yeah.
what to believe.
Sure. Don't worry about it. Basically.
I mean, really, you don't have any choice about how to live because you have to
Mm.
live.
Yeah,
Like
you
that's
do. You
it.
have
You
to
have
live.
no choice in the
Mm.
matter.
Well, there you have it then. Sort of an answer to this question. If you like this episode,
Another philosophical challenge solved.
hey, we're not meant to solve them. Just talk about them. You know, that's the great thing about philosophy. You don't have to solve anything. Uh,
What's the definition of philosophy? Questions that have no answers.
yeah, that we can ask indefinitely
Right?
forever
Yeah.
and pass them on to the next generation. If you like this episode, check us out on YouTube wherever you get your podcasts. If you have ideas for episodes, you can reach out on comments or you can send us an email. We'll be back later this week with more episodes, though. Until next week. Later, Randy.
Later, Danny.